then now the dismantling of social state or reduction of social state, cutting of provisions is also very much beyond left and right, precisely because the prospect of returning everyone to productive work is inachievable. Even if we prefer not to speak about that openly, for the politician to say something like that would be an act of suicide, but nevertheless, that is exactly what is happening. And if that is the case, then the social problems move from the region, from the area of social policy, into the area of law and order. It becomes a problem of law and order. Our lower classes have been recently renamed, as you probably noticed, underclass. Underclass is very different concept with different association than lower classes, because lower classes are people who are at the bottom and have a ladder to climb up to middle classes and even higher. Underclass is a category outside society, outside class system, and probably also are assimilable. So that is the impact on the old modernized countries. As far as the newly modernized countries are concerned, the impact of the fullness of the planet, I think, is this desperate and hopeless search for the local solutions to globally produced problems. And that expresses itself in what I call the neighborhood imperialism, not sending troops to other continents, but pushing away, ethnically cleansing the neighbors, the other tribes, tribal wars which go on there, guerrilla wars, the guerrilla armies, which in fact are just a thin cover-up for bandit gangs, which assimilate the certain population. The youth, which have no prospects in life, which have no chance of making their living, they become soldiers in their early childhood. They lose their life in the meantime during their activities. So, in a sense, it is a caricatural resolution, local resolution of the globally produced problem of human redundancy. So far I spoke about problem of refugees, phenomenon of refugees in general terms. Now, to wind up my too long speech, I would like to switch for a moment to a more specific problem. Not refugees in general, but refugees in my own country. Refugees who came to my own country, who are my new neighbors, either next street or somewhere in the camps nearby. What role they play in and where from the conflicts, social antagonism, social animosities which emerge around the issue of refugees arise. Bertolt Brecht, the German poet, once said that the refugees are harbingers of bad news. It's a very good expression, really. They symbolize something. You know, they are effigies in which you burn your problems, really, when they come to your own home. What are these bad news which they bring? What are they? Normally, people who study refugees in their natural environment, in the camps where they are normally enclosed, rightly point out, Auger used the term non-lieu, no place. They are somewhere outside the normal or organized environment where some laws apply to everybody who happens to be there. Garot spoke of nowhere will, the places, the towns which exist nowhere in an empty space. Michel Foucault, if you remember, using the medieval history, spoke about Narrenschiffe in the pre-modern times, people who were mentally ill, unfit to be assimilated by society, were put on ships, but ships were sent into the open sea. Open sea was symbol of nowhere, a symbol of a place where no laws were binding, where everything could happen, everything was deregulated before being regulated in any way. Michel Augier speaks about liminal drift and speaks about desert. Desert, that's also a very good metaphor, really, because desert is the territory without roads, without map. There is no way it is ordered. So when people are studying refugees in their natural environment, they point out in what way this environment differs from the environment which is several miles away from the camp, where ordinary people live, the local population lives. But I would like to return to what I said, quoting Bertolt Brecht. They are harbingers, those refugees, of bad news. And all these things which I just mentioned, Narrenschiffe, Nowhereville, non-lié, and so on, they are the bad tidings. I would say that in the same way as snails carry their homes on their backs, I think refugees carry their extraterritoriality, their being nowhere, on their backs. They are transients made permanent, transitoriness made constant. They are extraterritoriality being locally, materially tangible, fixed to the ground. And that puts them in the natural position to be scapegoated for all the fears which arise from the uncertainty, insecurity, unsafety of liquid modern being. I would like really to finish now and to sum up what I intended my message to be. Like you, I'm not a professional researcher of the refugee problem. I haven't done any field work. What I know about it, I learned, among other things, from Michel Augier, from his absolutely wonderful analysis of the refugee camps and their situation in faraway countries which I never visited, in Africa, in Asia, and so my message was could boil down to two following statements. One, that you can't understand the problem of refugees studying local issues here and there. And when I started studying problems of the history of the Holocaust, the opinions which I found most often in the professional literature was that the Holocaust was either a German problem or a Jewish problem. German problem because there was a Sonderweg in German history which was different from the rest of Europe, and that's why Holocaust didn't happen in France or in England but happened in Germany. So it was product of particularly indisposed people in Germany. Bad people do bad things. Well, that's tautology. Of course bad people do bad things, but if that was the end of the story, we shouldn't be afraid of anything really, because we exactly know what to do with bad people. Bad people should be locked up, or re-educated, taught anthropology or sociology so they become good people, and so on and so on. The real problem starts when good people start doing bad things. But that issue was untouched completely. How it happens that good neighbors, good husbands, good fathers suddenly become murderers, and they listen to Schubert and Bach in the evening, but during the day, they kill their other human beings. That was a Jewish problem. The Jews were a particularly hated part of the population, unlike the other part of humanity, and therefore that's a disaster which was clearly bound to come sooner or later. One couldn't understand Holocaust in these terms. I came to the conclusion that the proper understanding in its totality of this phenomenon was to decipher the Holocaust as a potential of wider society, of the type of civilization in which we live. It is a potential which is always there, which becomes reality under special circumstances, but the potential is permanent. It is related to the nature, to the structure of the civilization we live in. I would like to suggest to you that only in such a way can the problem of refugees be understood when we analyze it against the background of the issues of liquid modernity, mondialization, and finally the fullness of the planet. And the second part of the message is equally simple. What it says that whatever the Commission for Refugees organized by United Nations does, however the policy is there, whatever change of government will happen in France or in Germany or in England or whatever, I don't think that that will resolve the issue. It's a global problem. It's a global problem. It derives from the fact that so far, ladies and gentlemen, mondialization was only mondialization negative. There was not a beginning of positive globalization. What I understand by mondialization negative is globalization which consists only in breaking boundaries, in making all frontiers porous, indefensible, globalization and globalization of forces which actually use that destruction of local orders, namely capital, finances, mafias, criminality, terrorism. They are all globalized. That's negative globalization for you. What didn't begin so far is the positive globalization, by which I understand globalization of politics, globalization of law, juridical system, and globalization of certain democratic, some equivalent of democratic control over the affairs of the globe. Within this context, the issue could be resolved. It will take much more effort and much more time, probably, than improving, correcting here and there this or another paragraph in the statutes of refugees.